Some people have experiences that stick with them forever, moments that leave a lasting scar on their minds. I was only 8 years old when it happened to me, and to this day, I can still recall every vivid, haunting detail. My brother Austin and I grew up in a small, run-down house in a not-so-great neighborhood. Our dad had left when we were very young, leaving our mom to raise us alone. She worked two jobs just to make ends meet, and when she had night shifts, our grandma would come over to watch us. This night started off like any other. It was probably a weekend because I remember staying up later than usual, playing with my Legos in the living room while my grandma watched TV. Austin was already in bed, and my grandma kept telling me to quiet down, reminding me it was close to bedtime. Eventually, my grandma sent me to bed, and after saying goodnight, she went to the bathroom to brush her teeth before heading to sleep in my mom's room. I wasn't scared of the dark back then, not like most kids. I was brave, or so I thought. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. That alone was strange because I was a heavy sleeper. But there I was, lying in bed, hearing the unmistakable creaks of someone walking down the hallway. I assumed it was my grandma heading to the bathroom, but something about it felt off. The creaking didn't stop, it was like someone was pacing back and forth. Curiosity got the better of me, so I slid out of bed and tiptoed to my bedroom door. I pressed my ear against it, listening intently. That's when I heard whispering a soft, incoherent murmur. My first thought was that my grandma was talking to Austin, but that didn't make sense. I carefully cracked the door open just enough to peek into the hallway. What I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. There, leaning against the wall, was a tall, skinny woman, completely naked. Her hair was matted, and her skin stretched tightly over her bones. She was muttering something to herself, her head resting against her arms, her whole body swaying slightly. For a moment, I was frozen in shock. But then, her head snapped around, her wide, crazed eyes locking onto mine. I screamed loud, shrill, and terrified. I slammed my bedroom door shut, trembling as I heard the woman pound on it, screaming, "Jeremy. Jeremy, open the door." I kept screaming for my grandma, my voice breaking from the terror. Suddenly, I heard my grandma yell from down the hall, "Get the hell out of here." There was a struggle, and the woman shrieked, "Where is Jeremy?" But my grandma wasn't having it. She was in her mid-60s, but she was tough as nails. Somehow, she fought the woman off, managing to lock the front door and call the police all at once. The woman was gone by the time the police arrived, still screaming Jeremy into the night as she disappeared down the street. My grandma held Austin and me close, reassuring us that everything was okay. We sat huddled together until the police finally knocked on the door. They couldn't find the woman. They figured she was high on drugs or just completely unhinged, wandering the neighborhood and somehow getting into our house because one of the doors hadn't been locked. That simple mistake, one unlocked door, could have cost us our lives. For weeks, I couldn't sleep alone. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that woman's face, her wild eyes, her whispering lips. The event shook us so deeply that we moved out of that house soon after. The memories of that night still linger, creeping into my thoughts when I least expect it. But there's one thing I know for sure. I'll never forget the feeling of staring into the face of madness and realizing how close I came to a much darker fate.